The time of a multiverse of madness is upon us yet again.
Aye.
Second time for the year, actually.
Right?
Second time in as many weeks we have been blessed with a multiversal movie, Mason.
Do you think this will be the end of it?
No. I think
Correct.
there are going to be so many.
Yeah.
Forever and always.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or at least the next 3 to 4 years.
Do you think that we're going to get more and more multiverse stuff? I mean, obviously we are with Marvel.
Yeah.
Do you think we're going to get more multiversal stuff off the back of these two movies, Doctor Strange and Everything Everywhere All at Once, or just because the pop culture landscape has sort of been primed in the last few years for this sort of stuff? I think I kind of feel like they've gone, okay, well, let's have, connected movies and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I think
people are ready for this
I think
next
producers
layer.
generally and overhead creative types are just like, I think we can do this. We can,
Well, it's funny you should say that because on this movie, I saw an interview with one of the writers who was like, well, I saw how in Rick and Morty they can do like a 20-minute episode and introduce the concept of like a new multiverse, explain it to you, and then throw the concept away.
Yeah, because everybody died in that universe.
Or whatever, yeah.
Because Rick and or Morty killed everyone.
Yeah, and they've been doing that for like nearly a decade now.
That's true, yeah.
So I think that informed a lot of we don't need to linger on too much what is happening here, and we can kind of speed through it and people will ultimately get it.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're going to be talking non-spoilers and then spoilers
That's
for the Multiverse of Madness. I want to do some box office numbers, Mason.
Uh-oh.
And I'm rolling up my sleeves.
Go on.
Because this is serious business.
Big tough business.
I haven't crunched the numbers. That's why I have to roll them up. Yeah, so can you just hold the line for 10 to 15 minutes?
We could just pause the recording.
Hold the line, please. No, okay. So it costs $200 million.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's looking to have a 190 to 194 million US opening, which is the 9th to 11th, depending on biggest opening of all time in the US. It's also
in terms of Marvel movies?
In terms of movies.
Everything.
Opening, yeah. It's also going to, also you got to adjust for inflation. So the biggest movie of all time is still something I can't remember.
We'll let somebody else crunch those numbers.
Yeah, exactly. No, I can do it. Hold the line, Mason.
Oh my God, he's doing it.
So they reckon that, and coupled with, the international box office, it's going to be about a $400 million weekend.
My goodness.
Now, this is, of course, without a Chinese release. Now, you were telling me about this earlier this week, but there's a reason, we think a very specific reason why it doesn't.
Oh, was I saying that?
Yeah, well, there's the Epoch Times.
Right, okay,
gets
yes.
a look in.
So in the scene, presumably a number of scenes in New York, but specifically in the scene in the trailer where Strange is fighting the big squid monster.
Yeah.
There is like a little newspaper box with some Chinese characters. It's yellow and it's got Chinese characters on it.
Yeah.
And that is a delivery box for the newspaper from the
Epoch Times.
Yes.
Yes.
Which is it's
an anti-CCP.
Yeah, it's an anti-Chinese Communist Party newspaper, yeah.
And we don't know whether that was an intentional kind of
because they are all over the place in New York.
Yeah, or it's just one of those things where, maybe somebody put it in intentionally.
Yeah.
But or it's like we need some Chinese characters.
Or I think it might have been, it's just we need some
something on a newsstand.
Exactly. We just need a little, authentic New York flavor, and that's what we're going to do. And I wonder whether maybe that has inflamed some anger. Over there.
I wonder whether that has that's going to become the norm for Marvel movies, because it used to be like we saw with Iron Man 3, they're including scenes to get to get it a wider release in China. But we recently saw there was a request to get the Statue of Liberty removed from No Way Home, which didn't end up happening, obviously. And I saw also there were levels that they were willing to kind of take it down to have the film released.
Right.
One was to include less shots of the Statue of Liberty because it was too patriotic.
Less of its face?
And one was to darken it in certain shots, and I think they just went, seems hard. So we're not going to do it. Anyways, what do you think the story was?
Oh, all right. So Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
He's hanging out. He's loving just loving being strange,
Yeah, he is a bit.
He's not the Sorcerer Supreme anymore. We knew that already. But he's just living large in New York City, just having regrets and doing magic.
That's right.
But then there's bloody monster attacks in New York. What's behind that?
What is it?
There's monster attacks and they're after a girl.
Yes.
America is her name, America Chavez.
That's right.
She's got a special power. What is it? We'll never tell.
I mean, it's in the trailers, right?
She's got she can.
I think anything in the trailers we're kind of going to talk about, but obviously there are some major spoilers which we will not be covering.
And if you're familiar with that character from the comic books, she can punch her way through multiverses.
Yeah.
To other parallel universes. I mean, in the comic book, she can do it, easy as pie, but the America Chavez we see in this movie, not quite...
not quite there.
Not quite there yet, yeah.
I thought she was really good. Her name is Xochitl Gomez. Yeah, I thought she was great. Like, they were a good kind of pairing. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, so Doctor Strange, of course, has to figure out where are these monsters coming from, what do they want with her.
And what will I do about it?
Yeah, magic.
Yeah, multiverse.
Nice.
Who's the villain? Sort of in the trailer, but I guess we can't really say.
We can't do it. No, we can't do it.
Yeah. So, now, look, I think there has been a mixed reception to this. The people who have sent in their emails and tweets, not all, but there's been a bit of like this, maybe this wasn't what I was expecting.
Also, we didn't mention, Sam Raimi is directing.
Oh, and Sam Raimi's directing.
I mean, people would know that, of course, but, this is Sam Raimi's first foray back into superhero stuff since Spider-Man 3.
That's right, yeah.
And so we'll probably get into precisely how Sam Raimi-ish this movie is.
Yeah, we can do a bit of that now, but... So, it's definitely, and I found this going in, but I think I was expecting this after kind of the last few trailers and some comments from like Kevin Feige of it's not as multiversal as you might think.
Yes.
It's not like 1,000 multiverses and 1,000 cameos, and it is at its core, especially on the back end, it's a very Sam Raimi-esque kind of like, and then obviously you've got your camera moves and whatever, which is something, which you recognize from his work, but the introduction of certain characters and certain tropes and, the kind of ghoulish kind of nature of a lot of this,
it's grubby.
It's a bit grubby.
It's
colourful, for an MCU movie, I should say.
I think, something that has arisen over the last couple of days on Twitter as this movie has seen a wider release, more people are seeing it, is that a lot of people, I think, have perhaps forgotten how far PG-13 movies are allowed to go.
Yeah.
Especially Marvel ones, which I think,
there's some surprising...
They're allowed to have a PG-13 rating, but I think a lot of, especially Marvel stuff, just doesn't really go, like it doesn't go as far as it could. And so I think a lot of people are surprised in this one at, the level of...
there's a bit of gore in it.
A little bit of gore, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think... Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a...
No F-bombs? Is that the...
I think I think that's still the rule. Yeah. And of course, it's a Sam Raimi movie because Bruce Campbell is in it for a bit. Here's a question for you, though. Mm-hmm. What do you need going into this?
I don't think you need anything.
I mean, I think obviously like WandaVision helps.
I don't think... Yeah, okay, but here's the thing. I was thinking about this because a lot of people are like, oh my God, this is absolutely impenetrable.
I don't think it...
No, well, that's the thing. I don't think it is. I think back to when you were like 10, if you went to there wouldn't have been a comic book store, but like a newsagent or something, and you picked up just a random comic book that had this plot in it, you'd figure it out.
Yeah.
You'd go, okay, well, there's Doctor Strange and there's Scarlet Witch, and they've got magic powers and they know each other, and then here's a situation, and Doctor Strange has to figure out what's going on, and here's some action sequences, and we meet some characters, and you get it.
Yeah.
There's some multiversal travel. You wouldn't be like, what? I don't fully understand.
I can see being like, I don't like this.
Okay, sure.
But I think you're right in terms of like, I think it does a good enough job to explain the characters' motivations and what is happening and what is going to happen.
Yeah, and I think ultimately it is about Strange and America teaming up.
Yeah.
and saving themselves from the multiverse. I don't think you necessarily need to understand We'll get into it though, and I think there's some. There are some questions to do with character, I think, that we will have to talk about in spoilers. But I think that's worth getting into. But I don't think you need. I think this does a really good job of just you get in there and you have a fun time. Again, if you are primed to understand the multiverse, which we all are, or if you've seen Everything Everywhere All at Once a couple of weeks ago,
yes.
This also...
It's not as complicated as that.
No, it's less complicated than that. So I think that's, in this movie, in this movie, really, we see sort of a taste of what happens if you tumble through the multiverse, which I think is probably not even as complicated or as the first Doctor Strange, where, remember, he has that sort of trip where he tumbles through various states of consciousness, and you see his hands grow little
become eyes, and his eyes are his knees, or whatever.
And his fingers grow little hands, and they have fingers and what have you. I don't think it's as weird as that, but I think, it's certainly not as weird as in the previous movie we talked, multiversal movie, where there are universes where people have hot dogs for fingers, or they're rocks, or what have you. There's a couple of there's a scene which is in the trailer, which is they sort of tumble through the multiverse, and you see various universes. There's one where everybody's paint, and there's a sort of animated thing, and there's some various worlds of different technological advancement and what have you, and then they spin out and they end up in the universe that they happen to be in for the next scene or whatever. And it's not, it's not, you won't be like, I don't understand what's happening. You get it.
I mean, they're really they kind of rest in really a couple of multiverses, and then kind of in between spaces, that's kind of where the movies kind of takes place. Do you wish there was more multiversal stuff? Because I think there is something to be said for, and Kevin Feige mentioned this specifically, he thought they spoiled too much in the trailers. I think those reveals in the trailers lead to more expectation. And I know I certainly had these going in of more cameos.
Oh, right, okay,
and like more worlds. And it's not really that much beyond what we see in the trailer, minus like a couple of pretty significant inclusions.
Yeah, right.
I think those trailers have hurt people's perception of this movie.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I don't know. I don't think I really went in. I reckon probably my expectations of this movie were tempered by a lot of the Marvel TV stuff and Spider-Man No Way Home, where a lot of we spent weeks and months going, oh my god, who's going to show up in this next thing? No one. Just the main cast. Boo. Yeah, boring. No, but I think I don't know, and maybe that is a case of like Spider-Man No Way Home really kick people's expectations up. Yeah. To expect a huge reveal, but I'm not even sure.
I think though there are reveals in this that are bigger than that movie.
Yeah.
Which again we will talk about. But I think those expectations were set so high from Spider-Man and then from these trailers. But I also think that I liked how it kind of went away from that stuff towards the end. I liked that it became more kind of Sam Raimi, grimy, Evil Dead-y kind of. I enjoyed that aspect of it. I wasn't like, oh man, I would have liked to have seen this person, this person, this person, this person, which I can also understand people like wanting at this point. But no, I kind of liked the turn that it took away from that kind of stuff, to be honest.
And you know what I loved about this movie?
It was restraint, I think, as well, yeah.
It's a movie where the main character is a sorcerer and there was some cool magic in it.
That's another thing I was going to ask you about, because you took great umbrage.
I did take great. I was just going to say the word umbrage.
There was a Twitter storm.
I was real Dolores Umbridge about it.
He was a big racist. Is that right?
Yes.
For
I'm
wizard
going
stuff.
ham on Twitter.
For wizard stuff, though, just to clarify. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where you were like, there's just a bunch of firecracker kung fu in this and not much else in terms of spells.
Yeah, every spell was just that weird orange grid.
Yeah.
And then something would happen with the grid. And I'm like, that's not what...
And there's a bunch of weird orange grid spells in this too. Mm-hmm. Like he does a big buzzsaw at one point. That's good fun.
That's cool, sure.
But yeah, there is definitely a greater exploration of his powers. Mm-hmm. And there's one sequence in particular which is quite musical in nature. Did you enjoy that?
I did enjoy it a lot. Yeah. I mean, it was. I didn't think I was going to.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, no, this is cool. Actually. It was very Fantasia, I thought. If you go into this movie expecting Evil Dead meets Fantasia, or even, you know what, Spider-Man 2 meets Fantasia.
Sure, yeah.
I think you'll have a fun time.
Yeah. No, that's some of the elements that I really enjoyed about that. Just seeing, like, what else can this guy do? And also not explaining everything that he does. Like, he'll do a thing and I'm like, yeah, okay, he can do that. That's fine.
Sure.
And also, even though I haven't looked up everything that he's done, I just trust that that's probably a thing he's done in the comics.
Sure, right.
You know what I mean? Because it usually is the case.
Wow, he opened a bottle with his eye. Oh my god, he pulled his thumb off with his other hand.
Wow.
Whoa, and he keeps putting it on and off again. Whoa. Now, his knees are swapping sides.
Now, there's one thing that
and I just lean in. He can do that in the comics. Don't worry about it.
There was actually an element of this which I thought was quite noticeable, and it came down to Wong's hair.
Okay.
I don't know if you noticed, but his hair changes like scene to scene depending on whether it's a reshoot. There were significant reshoots in this movie. I got a little information here from Sam Raimi on it.
Okay.
There's moments where Wong's got like cropped hair, and then the next scene he's got like his hair's like an inch long. And it happens like a few times throughout the movie. But he says Sam Raimi said, I don't actually remember the length of the first cut. It was probably like 2 hours and 40 minutes, and it slowly came down even though we did the reshoots. We took out material even though the reshoots went in. So it slowly got down to 2 hours and 5 minutes. So the reshoots actually took a bunch of stuff out of this movie.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
to bring it right down. There's no information at the moment about what in particular, other than Rachel McAdams at one point was going to play three variants of her character.
Mm-hmm.
But
and without spoiling it, it's a different number.
Yes, it is a different number.
We can't. Well, that's the first thing we'll spoil in spoilers.
It's between 1 and 100.
That's right. We'll tell you how many variants of Rachel McAdams' character, whose name is Christine. I've just remembered.
That's Christine Palmer?
I don't know.
Yes, that's right.
Christine Chicken Palmer.
So that's good fun. But I think one of the strengths of this movie is like there's a very significant kind of multiverse moment, which everybody has been talking about. But I think I enjoyed the adventure around that just as much for the most part. Like, because a lot of this is like a shape, they're being like pursued through various dimensions and sometimes just corridors or magical hallways or whatever.
Yeah.
And
sometimes New York City, baby.
Yeah, and using magic to keep like one step ahead of this like thing that's chasing them. And I really enjoyed that element of it. Just seeing like, you know, what happens if you use the mirror dimension as like a trap, basically. It's just like a, what if it's just like a bear trap that locks you into it, you know?
And I mean, to go back to like, just a comic book where maybe some characters go through the multiverse.
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't read that and some characters go to a particular alternate universe and see maybe some characters slightly different designs of characters from their universe or whatever. I wouldn't be like, my enjoyment of this comic book hinges on those characters from that universe and how they look and their new designs.
I guess, but the difference here is, though, when you're bringing in actors, you've got a history of other movies and you've got, like, certain actors that might be involved. So I think that changes your perception of a story.
Not mine.
Not yours? No. Okay, fair enough.
Guess I'm built different.
But I think also, people who are upset about there not being more multiverse stuff in it, I think that's a pretty valid complaint. Like, seeing as how they kind of presented this movie and what's come before it. I think a lot of that is expectation of like, oh my God, Tom Cruise is going to fly in his Iron Man and whatever. That doesn't happen. Is that a spoiler?
Or he does. We'll tell you. The second thing we'll tell you is whether Tom Cruise flies in his Iron Man and how many versions of him there are.
I think there is like a, manage your expectations.
He flies in from his character's cocktail.
His character cocktail, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's...
Oh, Cocktail. That's his name.
That's right. I think it's, I think that's some of that is justified and some of it is like you need to kind of keep your expectations in check, because again, they presented a lot of stuff of like what was going to be in it and they delivered like slightly more than what we, this see.
I mean, it is not, I'm not sure I would describe this adventure as a multiverse of madness.
No, I don't agree with that, yeah.
There are, I think, certain scenes where characters, whoever they might be in the grip of madness, but I don't feel like I don't think anybody who was, bouncing between parallel universes was like, I'm going mad from this.
Yeah.
It was more a case of like, let's solve this little puzzle.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'll go to the next universe.
Doctor Strange solves a series of little puzzles. Yeah. Anyway, should we do some spoilers?
Yes, I'm going to say best movie ever.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, but also I feel like if they did I feel like they're building towards something. Maybe they don't even know what this phase is going to be yet, but
I've got some idea.
I feel like
maybe.
if they tossed in 1,000 parallel universes in this one, and just cameo after cameo,
where do you go?
Where do you go from there? You know,
you're right.
Just everybody settle down.
I'll say it now, I guess. I think they're probably going to do Secret Wars. I think that's what they're doing, and different versions of different people from whatever, and that's what I think they're doing.
Okay,
I don't know that,
right?
But at the same time. You heard it here first.
Whoa.
Spoilers, Mason?
Yes. Are you going to say best movie?
Yes, I really liked it. And I think, I understand why people wouldn't, but the elements of this movie, for me, my enjoyment of it didn't hinge on, like, seeing as many cameos as possible.
Yeah.
Like, I think if it was just that movie, I probably would have been like, that was really cool seeing those people, but also, like, what else is there to this movie?
Yeah.
And I think there's more to it than just the handful of cameos that we do get.
Yeah, Do we know if Sam Raimi was required? We're not in spoilers yet. Do we know if Sam Raimi was required by the studio to put in a certain number of cameos?
I don't know, no. I'd say probably. I know Scott Derrickson, who worked on the first one, left for like creative reasons. I don't know. I think he wanted to take it in a more horror kind of element. And but then also the rumor was that, or the thinking was, well, because Marvel wants to put a bunch of cameos in and he'd disagree with that. But that's not what this is. So I'd be curious to know, like, what was the kind of, what caused them to kind of part ways.
Anyway, if you're on the fence, folks, I think you should see it. But again, temper your expectations. Imagine this is like a Phase 1 Marvel movie.
Oh, I think it's a bit beyond
No,
that.
I mean, but in the sense that, like, they didn't rely on cameos and who's going to be in it next and all that sort of stuff. Just remember, this is just it's just a story. It's a fun adventure story, and it's a bit gross, and it was fun, and the characters all worked well together, and etc. So
great stuff. Spoilers.
Okay.
Anyway.
Wait. So the Rachel McAdams. There's one version of her character.
That's right.
Wait, no, there's two.
There's two. Yes. I thought you were joking then. No. I thought you were doing a big joke. And Wanda is the villain.
Specifically, there's the main universe one.
Yeah.
And there's an alternate universe one who's
got
like a
red
multiversal, a doctor of multiversal theory or whatever it is.
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
And she's got red hair.
Yeah.
So Wanda Maximoff is the main villain in this.
Yes.
So the idea is that off the back of the WandaVision series, she wants to travel to another multiverse where her kids exist because they don't exist in the main MCU timeline.
Exactly. Kill the Wanda in that universe and take over that universe. Now, but in order to do that, she wants to find and kill America Chavez and take her power.
Yep.
So she can instead of relying on her to transport her to a particular universe, she wants to have the power at all times in order to if the kids she abducts get sick or whatever, she can go to another parallel universe where the cure exists or what have you.
Yeah.
And so that's why she's after America Chavez. Now this reveal happens quite early on, I think.
Yeah, it does.
This is like an Act 1 reveal because
and it's pretty much in the trailers as well.
And it's immediate, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
It's Doctor Strange goes to Wanda for help, and then he's like, "Oh wait, you're the bad guy." And she's like, "I am the bad guy."
And he's like, "Oh no,
I'm right here." Oh boy.
I thought it was interesting the way that they deal with multiverses, and basically now in the Marvel universe, if you have a dream, that is a version of you that is experiencing that thing at that moment in another multiverse. And so whatever bizarre dream you've ever had, there's a version of you having that experience.
Well, now we're going to have to go through every MCU movie and TV show and find all the points where characters had dreams and figure out
what's going on. I mean, well, Tony Stark's like whole thing is like he had a vision about a future where aliens invade.
Yeah.
And maybe that was from a dimension where that happened and they lost, you know what I mean? Or it could be, he's having nightmares in Iron Man 3 about
he killed everybody.
PTSD.
Yeah, right.
And maybe that's all to do with it. I'm not sure. But I thought it was interesting where you can kind of infer what happened with WandaVision and where her children came from. Because so we also know the MCU timeline is called the 616 timeline. Well, according to the 348 timeline or whatever the other one is they go to. But she created her kids out of nothing. Yeah. And I guess she created them because she had dreamt about them from another universe built that house, which looks very similar to the house.
So they are real children in the other universe.
They're real in the other universes. And she had maybe subconsciously or consciously dreamt of them and was able to recreate them in the regular reality.
Here's the question, and people have been debating this online. Is this character assassination?
Okay.
Here's the thing. When we left her, was it at the end of WandaVision or is it something else?
I think it was the end of WandaVision. She just released everybody from the town.
And then she is in a cabin.
Yeah.
And she is astral projecting and she's also reading stuff out of the Darkhold.
Or the stuff outside is not real and she's reading the Darkhold or whatever,
But I kind of feel like that was supposed to be a portent for stuff to come. Like, I didn't look at that and go, oh, she's going to be an even better superhero now. She can do all this stuff and read from the Darkhold.
It seemed very ominous.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are saying, well, she learned a valuable lesson from WandaVision and now she should be a good guy. Why is she a bad guy again?
I don't think she did learn a lesson, really.
I don't think
she was what I got from that is she's a bad person and she walked away.
Yeah.
That's what I got from it. And, like, a lot of people in that are lucky they're not dead. And it's strange that also strange.
Oh, that's the name of the movie.
Like the biggest jarring part for me is like she like spent a movie kind of zapping people at an airport. And now she's like traveling through dimensions trying to murder children. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's got like that. Like I think that's a bizarre like turn of events, but I don't necessarily think it's character assassination. And I know it also speaks to like the comics, which isn't an excuse for like doing anything, I guess. But she's not an all good character in the comics either.
And also in the comic books, whenever they need a sort of large, universe spanning event to happen, oftentimes they just go, "Hey, Wanda's going crazy again. Wanda's going crazy again. What's she going to do this time? Is she going to get rid of all the mutants? Is she going to make more mutants?"
The Phoenix Force just went crazy, and that's over. So we need another woman to go crazy.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess that is the larger question to be discussed.
Yeah. I don't know. I also liked that they made a hero a villain.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it is that case of like, okay, well, if they want to do a season 2 of WandaVision, or if they want to reincorporate her into the movies again as a hero, they can just say the Darkhold made her evil.
The Darkhold did it.
There is always a way around these things,
Just grab another one from another dimension.
I mean, she did kill a lot of innocent people, I think, but
yeah, but not in the regular dimension. Oh no, that's not true. She killed a bunch of wizards, didn't she?
Yep.
In that weird wizard fight.
Yeah.
Speaking of other dimensions, the significant one which people are talking about, I actually wrote it here. It's Earth 838, according to them.
That is the You Go On Red universe?
Yes.
Okay, great.
That's right. So, yeah.
Can you imagine such a place, James? I can't.
Oh, luckily they had it on screen because I wouldn't have been able to visually interpret what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying, but here's what I am saying, Mason.
Go on.
They introduced a version of the Illuminati. They don't have the event. They don't have the Avengers. They got a pack of nerds running things. And I recently said in a video that, like, I love watching a pack of nerds get wrecked. And boy... I mean, like a council of nerds, I should say, not just like bullies picking on, nerds. But so we got Baron Mordo, who basically may as well be regular Baron Mordo.
Yeah,
you know, he's essentially the exact same character. Regular Baron Mordo, we don't know what he's up to. The last thing we saw, he stole Benjamin Bratt's walking legs powers and went, I'm going to do this for a bit.
Yeah.
We got Captain Marvel, but it's the Maria Rambeau version. Presumably because she was in the accident. We got Captain Carter, Peggy Carter. We got Patrick Stewart as Professor X. Now, those ones had all been revealed in the trailers.
Yes.
And we should stress that, like, the Professor X version is not the one that from the movies.
Yes.
Normally. I mean, it looks like him.
Sure does.
But he's got the big... We did a video on this, but he's got a big chair.
He's got the big levitating wheelchair, the big golden wheelchair. So he is more akin to the animated version.
Yeah.
And his psychic powers have like visible effects, which the other ones don't.
Exactly. Actually, Patrick Stewart talked about returning again. He said it's possible and likely that there will be even more appearances. I don't expect ever to be Jean-Luc Picard again, but there is potential maybe for a reappearance of Professor Xavier.
Whoa.
I think when they do introduce mutants, they're going to recast him. But I think, he could turn up again.
Yeah. Now, in our audience, when all the reveals happened, the biggest reveal was for Mr. Fantastic, probably. The biggest cheer, I think, was for Mr. Fantastic.
Not for me. That wasn't my biggest cheer. Yeah. But so they've cast...
Your biggest cheer was when it was over, the whole movie.
Because I had such a good time, Mason.
Mm-hmm.
So John Krasinski turns up looking exactly like all of the fan arts version of Reed Richards.
Yeah, down to the costume and the logo, I think.
Dead on to all of that. There was a moment where I saw him where he was like looking at Doctor Strange, and it felt like he wasn't looking at him. And I'm like, did they just shoot all this in different rooms?
Maybe,
maybe they did.
Yeah.
What do you think about that casting, though?
Well, I mean, I wonder, like, is it because they would have... Has the fan casting always been because you would get Krasinski and Emily Blunt together and they would probably be a pretty good...
Part of it, I would say.
He didn't come across...
Reed Richardsy? Mean enough?
Mean and smart enough. I don't know.
Well, he was certainly a dumb guy.
Yeah. He seemed more like a...
They introduced him as the smartest man in the world.
That's true. And then he gets Swiss cheesed. Or he gets string cheesed, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I always see that's a good question. And it's also based on everybody's assumption of what that character is like. I don't particularly see Reed Richards as mean necessarily.
More direct?
I feel like he's I mean, it depends, and it also depends on what like Fantastic Four comics you have read in your life. I kind of feel like he is like a nice family man, but he can be quite aloof or distracted because he's always got bigger stuff on his mind, kind of thing.
Stretching.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's always like,
it's a metaphor.
I could sit down for dinner with my family, but I got to do all this stretching. Got to do this dance.
Got to say limber.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, he did get killed very, very easily.
Certainly did, didn't he? Yeah. I mean, I look personally, I would have liked to have seen Ioan Gruffudd reappear.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because that way, like, there's no expectation that he's going to come back.
Yeah, right.
Because I think there is an expectation here that he's going to be Reed Richards.
Didn't we even see, I think maybe I saw a tweet earlier, and maybe it was from one of those Twitter feeds that always lies, but I think it was like, he's confirmed for...
Yeah, that's not surprising to me at all.
Yeah.
But don't you think it would have been interesting if it was Ioan Gruffudd?
Yes.
Because I guess they do take a big swing here of a character in a franchise that people didn't like. But,
I mean, just before we get to that, I think, and we mentioned this in the video we did, but I think it's interesting. You pointed out that when Doctor Strange meets Reed Richards, he says to him, "Weren't you incinerated in the 60s?"
I got that
right?
wrong. He says, I thought he said, didn't you get charred in the 60s? But he said, didn't you chart in the 60s?
Oh,
so I think he was just
right.
like, you're a guy in a 60s band, Fantastic Four.
Oh, I
you
see,
know
that's
what I mean?
fine. Okay, right.
But I also think it could be a nod to like, he was a guy that existed in the 60s. I don't think that necessarily like negates that he might have recognized who that was.
Okay.
You know? But it's interesting, I guess, that there's no Iron Man, there's no Hulk, there's no Thor.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a...
Is that because they died while battling Thanos?
I don't know. They weren't there when we saw that, so we don't really know.
Yeah.
But like no Spider-Man either. And what's the deal with that? Because Doctor Strange remembers Spider-Man, but America Chavez doesn't know Spider-Man at all. And is that a result of the Spider-Man spell and people not remembering Peter Parker, or the 70-odd dimensions she'd been to? Had they not yet?
I think
they didn't have a Spider-Man.
Yeah, maybe they all died of radiation poisoning.
Cool, that's cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. But of course, the last... unbelievable. The most mind-blowing appearance to me was...
Who is, strictly speaking, he is in the Illuminati in the comic books.
He is, yeah, which makes sense to why they put him in here, but the casting is incredible. So Blackagar Boltagon,
yes,
the king of the Inhumans, as played by Anson Mount, who played him in that horrible TV series.
Yes.
Not his fault.
Sure.
I'll talk about it a bit later, but I watched the new Star Trek Brave New Worlds or whatever, and you know he's good in that and other things. But that was like, because I'd heard rumblings, I hadn't seen the pictures, but I'd seen like Mr. Fantastic maybe trending, and I'm like, okay, what's that about or whatever. So I was kind of like semi expecting it, I guess.
Yeah, right.
But that one was just like, wow, really? Yeah. Wow, like that really like that shook me to my core, Mason.
Yeah.
In a good way though. I just thought it was really just. They just acknowledged it.
And they went with comic accurate costume with the little tuning fork on his head.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then they killed them all in very graphic ways.
So good. Great.
I know, right? So
I wonder, do people generally speaking enjoy that scene? Because again, it is to the best of our knowledge an infinite multiverse.
Yeah, who cares?
So you can knock off as many of those guys as you want.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter at all. I also liked how it was kind of, as, you know, Wanda is like killing all these people, it cuts to Doctor Strange just having like a fist fight. And I'm like, oh, you can fist fight. Good, you would. You'd learn. Because maybe someone puts a magic talisman on you and you can't.
You learn all the kung fu.
Exactly,
yeah. First one.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. But I like that he can still do it.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
He can fight.
We recently, for our Big Sandwich Classic Comic Book Club.
Very good.
Our comic book podcast, we talked about Doctor Strange the Oath.
Yeah.
And in that comic book, there is a sequence where two men, they were going to battle magically. Doctor Strange expects a magical battle, but instead a little hourglass is turned that means that anybody within a certain radius can't use any magic, so it has to be just a fist fight. And
it is.
Doctor Strange is just good at fist fighting.
Turns out. Yeah. So
and there was shades of that in the
and he's
movie,
probably got metal in his hands, which helps.
Yeah,
I'd
sure.
imagine
Yeah.
to hurt the other people and you. I don't when you hit that, but just like that first death of like Black Bolt's head like blowing out the back of his head. Just really good stuff. And then from there you get Reed Richards gets like shredded, and then his head pops at the very end, and then it's and then you see like Peggy Carter just run off, like dart to the side, like, oh no, you know, and she lasts like longer than, you know, you'd expect. But yeah, I thought that was really great, you know? Yeah. And she gets cut in half, it seems by the
that way,
shield. Yeah. And then Monica Rambeau, gets smashed by a big statue. And that's
Maria
fun.
Rambeau.
Maria Rambeau.
Their name shouldn't be so similar. I don't like it. I don't like it.
But yeah, I just thought what a fun sequence.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Other fun sequences, obviously the music magic fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah. I completely agree.
Oh, we didn't even talk about we haven't talked about the other strangers.
Oh yeah, so there's two.
It's true, yes.
Well, there's three. There's one we sort of see from the weird Illuminati dimension who used the Darkhold, and as a result, he corrupted himself. But he was like, "I'm going to use this to stop Thanos, and then you can kill me because I don't want to do any of this stuff."
Yes.
There's regular Strange, and then there's Ponytail Strange.
Yes.
Who was also Zombie Strange.
Yeah. But then there's another Strange.
Who's the other Strange?
The guy with the third eye guy.
Oh yeah, and then there's Dark Man Strange.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. So there's four. You're right. Yeah. I completely forgot about that one. Who's not the version from the What If?
No, he's a different guy.
Yeah.
But I mean that the point when we go to that guy's universe, that's really the closest we get to a multiverse of madness. But it's just that guy in his own universe, and he's gone mad.
It's a spooky time.
So yeah.
But other than that,
Doctor Strange's spooky joint.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I honestly thought that there was going to be a moment towards the end where, because they bury the zombie version of Strange in the regular universe, I thought it's going to be Doctor Strange fighting a zombie. But I like how they twisted it, where Doctor Strange had to use the body of a zombie to fight Wanda.
It all tied together.
I thought that was very fun.
What I thought was interesting is that both this movie and Everything Everywhere All at Once both have a mechanic where you can enter the mind of a body of your own body in another dimension.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because they need a way to say, okay, there's a villain on the way.
Yeah.
And
look out,
exactly. But the idea being obvious. If the villain can just jump into the next multiverse or the next parallel universe, it's all over pretty quickly. So you have to introduce an element of they can surveil.
Yeah,
this particular power. So in
for a time
in this movie, it's the Darkhold. Obviously, the spell has that. The Darkhold has that particular spell, and in Everything Everywhere, it's a mystical RV, a highly technological RV. Rather,
you put on a headset or whatever and some Bluetooth.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, but I also thought Wong was great in this. I was kind of like, are they going to kill Wong in this? It's probably and they didn't, which I appreciated because I like that character. But I thought also there was a bunch of strange implications that kind of...
Use a different word, a queer.
Bizarre.
Okay.
Out of sorts.
Peculiar,
yeah. Implications for what does this mean for the greater universe, right? So for one, it seems that when you skip dimensions, your physical properties change. So if you go into a weird paint dimension...
Turn into paint.
You go to a cartoon world, you're a cartoon. Which could mean that Peggy Carter is... the one from the What If series.
It could also mean Professor X is the animated Professor X, but he's just come into this universe.
That is true also. And he's turned into Patrick Stewart. Yeah, you're right. Also, there's a moment where Doctor Strange meets his former doctor, who's a doctor with him. And he says...
Mr. Doctor.
Mr. Doctor, excuse me, sir.
We haven't even mentioned... What's the name of that guy? Maybe you're about to talk about this guy.
The guy who's his old doctor mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
he gets he's on the poster, that guy.
Yeah. So
he gets it, and whatever the guy's name is, because he's in the first one, right?
He's also in The Oath.
Yeah.
Which I won't spoil that comic here, but yeah, he's a rival doctor to Doctor Strange. And he's the one who operates on his hands.
Yeah.
And Doctor Strange is like, you suck at this. I have great hands.
I actually do suck at this, sorry.
I admit it.
But did he get... He must have signed on for the first one, and it was a case of...
I have to be on the poster.
And you get a title credit and a poster credit on the second one.
Yeah.
Because he's in it for 5 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not even 5 minutes.
What is his name? Let me bring that up. His name's Michael Stahlberg. There you go. So, yeah. So he's Nicodemus West, I want to say. So I guess I'm going to spoil The Oath here.
Okay, great.
But you should read The Oath.
James, moments ago you said you weren't going to spoil
Now I have to explain this scenario.
Right.
So are they building up to that guy attempting to kill Strange?
Maybe.
Because in that comic, he hires an assassin to shoot Strange with Hitler's gun.
That's true.
So are they going... Is that where we're going here? And the other thing is, so are they going to do death...
A gun which presumably has done roughly equal amounts of harm and good.
That's true also.
Because he shot himself with it.
But also, as a result of Strange being...
Do you think Hitler killed people individually?
No,
He killed
I
some
don't think
guys?
so.
Yeah.
Do you reckon he would?
Nah, probably not.
I'm seeing the type.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, so Doctor Strange also in the comics is currently dead.
Ah.
So I wonder if that guy would have anything to do with Doctor Strange being killed and then Clea taking over, who of course makes an appearance in this movie. But the other thing is, he asked Doctor Strange, like, of all the scenarios that you ran through your head of like how to defeat Thanos, was that the one that like worked?
Yeah.
And Doctor Strange was like, yes. And this movie had me thinking that maybe there was a scenario where Doctor Strange could sacrifice himself, and he chose not to do that one. He chose to go with the Iron Man sacrifice himself. Everybody snapped and disappeared.
Yeah, okay.
So it made me think, the way that he kind of responded to that made me think that he made a somewhat selfish choice to keep himself alive in the universe.
Maybe.
And that guy's mad about his cats or whatever he was talking about, yeah. Also, Ultron. Who did that? Who built Ultron?
Probably
was
Ultron.
Was that previously evil Ultron? And they turned him good, or was this a universe where Ultron's good and servient?
Oh, good question.
Yeah.
You know who I thought might make an appearance if we're talking cameos?
Ultron?
No, Vision.
Oh, yeah.
I thought maybe if there was going to be a big reveal at the end, I thought perhaps it was going to be when. Look, also, first of all, one of the things that I did really like was that it did end literally with a bunch of punches, but they weren't punches to knock Wanda's head off.
Yeah.
America figures out her powers, and she punches Wanda back into the universe where her children are alive, and the other Wanda is there, and that Wanda says that the children will be loved, so it's okay. You know, you can't be here, but etc. And I thought that was nice that it wasn't just somebody getting their head twisted off or whatever.
Though that does happen.
That does happen. But I thought in that moment there might have been a point where like Vision comes down the stairs, or whatever, you know, and he's like, "Hello,
it's me, Vision.
Hello, I'm not." Your version's extra dead.
How did this happen?
Right?
We don't know.
Yeah,
I didn't really think about that during the movie, but yeah, it's kind of surprising that they didn't put him in. And we know he's out there. Like, there's the version that she made, which dissolved, and then the original version with the white-bodied Vision, who's just.
But also, maybe it was a case of if you bring Vision into this into the final scene, then the scene just keeps going because then Wanda.
Yeah, that's true.
Have a long conversation with this guy and etc.
Get back to the punches.
Yeah. So if we just assume he's also dead in that universe, that saves a lot of time.
I thought he kind of uses a bunch of ghost things as like a cape, and it also was like that Doctor Strange multi-arm kind of thing, but it was all zombie ghoul thing. Did that whole thing about those screaming demons felt very kind of Evil Dead and horrible little monsters screaming at you.
That's everything that's in Sam Raimi's head all the time. So.
Right. Exactly. And I guess my last thought is like, if all dreams are real,
yes,
and you have a dream about Star Wars, does that mean the Star Wars dimension exists?
No, that's just an alternate universe in which you're playing Star Wars.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm playing it.
You've got all the action figures.
Okay, that's fine.
That's the multiverse. That's the universe you wish you lived in, which is where you collected all the Star Wars toys.
Oh, man.
And you're alone, but you have all the toys.
Oh, cool. Those are the entire universe has collapsed in on itself, but it's just me being like, yeah, I'm the Skywalker.
I don't care.
But it also would mean that, like, so the Tobey Maguire universe is real. We know that.
Yes.
And he mentions, and there's the mention of Superman in that universe. Oh. So does that mean Superman exists in the Marvel universe in another dimension?
Maybe.
Probably, I guess.
Unless it's just, no, it's probably just there are Superman comics in the Raimi Spider-Man universe. There's probably just Superman comics.
Okay, Mason.
Yeah,
fine.
That's right. I've ruined it. I've ruined your fun.
Fine, I guess.
Yeah.
But mark my words, as soon as these companies start running out of money, they're going to merge universes, mate.
True,
or maybe not even. Maybe they'll just do it anyway. And that's fun, isn't it?
It is fun.
Yeah.
Do you have any more thoughts about this movie?
Well, we can do the post-credits. So Charlize Theron shows up.
Yeah.
You know?
Pretty good. Oh, yeah. Oh, here's the thought.
Yes.
This was not in the post-credits or, in fact, anywhere. But in the comic books, there's a spell in the Darkhold that destroyed all the vampires.
Oh yeah.
And when if the spell is destroyed, all the vampires come back.
Yeah.
Or if the spell is reversed.
Yeah.
And I think if you destroy the Darkhold, it reverses all the spells
like
cast.
The weird kind of like Waller was written on.
Yes,
when all
exactly.
The vampires
Yeah,
come back. Yeah.
So I think the destruction. If they because we are getting a Blade movie, I think they're probably going to be like the reason there were no vampires for a while is because the Darkhold was.
But then that book fell over.
Then the book fell over. And then now all the vampires.
Because of the other book, there was a second book.
Yeah. So now anyway, that's my theory.
That's interesting.
Which is, like a lot of these phase theories is like,
who knows what's sticks.
Like maybe it might be true now, but if somebody gets a better idea, they might rewrite it into something else, or it might not be true now, and somebody's like, hey, remember the thing with the Darkhold and the vampires, whatever, let's write it in, whatever. So
what do you think happened to Wanda? The thing just fell on her, and she went, oh no, and then it was over. She was sad, and the building collapsed on her. She's going to lie there for a bit until they
I reckon
meet her?
She's probably going to lie there for a bit, yeah. She'll probably be a statue.
Okay. Yeah.
When they return to that bit.
Let's see what's up.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Do we talk about where this phase is going, maybe? Or what the various artifacts
I think
are?
This is what I want to talk about, the post-credits. So Clea, it's Charlize Theron, turns up, and she's like, Doctor Strange, you really did a big multiverse, and now you need to help me.
Yeah.
I do think that, and I think Clea had something to do with the Secret Wars, right?
The most recent one.
No, one of them. I don't know. Maybe the first one. I can't remember.
I don't think it was the first one.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. But so what's Secret Wars? What's
Well, the original Secret Wars was an alien being called the Beyonder.
Yep.
Just grabbed a bunch of heroes and villains from the Marvel universe and took them to a planet called Battleworld and made them fight.
Yep.
Like other stuff and each other and what have you.
Bears.
But it was basically it was a big exercise in like selling toys.
Yeah, okay.
What ultimately
yeah.
it was. It was just a very it was just a way to strip away all the nonsense from all the like it was a way to strip away like all the personal details from all the heroes and just have them as like action figures fighting each other in an empty world, really.
Okay, yeah. Well, we have read that. We also covered that for Big Sandwich.
And then there was the second one, Club, which I think had the Beyonder coming to Earth, and then there was a modern day one.
It's like a 2015 one.
Yeah. Which I think had a bunch of multiversal people.
Yeah.
It was various characters from alternate versions of various characters from the Marvel comic book multiverse all together on one world fighting.
Anyways, that's what I think they're doing.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that's when we're going to get 1 million cameos.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. What do you think, though?
Great question.
More music fights?
Yeah, more music fights. I don't know. I'm wondering, like, because we do have some more artifacts.
Yeah.
I don't think do we have an artifact in this? Not really.
I mean, a couple of books.
There were a couple of books.
Yeah.
I don't count them all books, really.
Books.
Yeah. But we had the 10 rings, obviously, from Shang-Chi.
That's true, yeah.
And Ms. Marvel's powers seem to be coming from some sort of bracelet kind of device.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if
those are connected. Are they Kree things or something?
Maybe.
Actually, no, Captain Marvel said that the 10 rings aren't Kree.
Yeah.
Didn't she? Because she's in her post-credits.
Yeah.
And she's like, I've got that haircut.
Yeah, nice. All right, anyway, we're still talking post-credits.
Yeah. But so what do you think about Charlize Theron being like, hello, I'm here and I'm going to be your new girlfriend in a bit and then if in a movie or two. Yeah.
Great.
You know what I mean?
Yep, fun.
Solving. She's from the Dark Dimension. I did a video on it. But yeah, it didn't feel like a super exciting, like kind of like post-credits to me. There's also the Bruce Campbell one after, of course. But you made a good point about...
Oh, this sounds like me.
It's very Sam Raimi where... So the last scene of the film is the third eye opens on his head, which the evil Doctor Strange had. And he's like, ah! And then there's post-credits and he's just like, it's fine.
Yeah, life's fine. I've got used to this, I guess. I don't know. I thought it was just fun.
Yeah. Would you like to see Sam Raimi do another one of these? Because I would.
Yeah.
Sure. I think I've seen some people like... think that these movies have kind of grown beyond what Sam Raimi does, but I didn't think that at all. I thought he was a great choice for this.
Yeah,
especially considering that they lost a director and they got him to do it.
I mean, time will tell, but I'm wondering what the critical consensus on this will be in 6 months. I think it will be largely positive.
Okay, then.
There you go.
What is it on a Rotten Tomato? It's on a 75%.
Cinema score, it's like a B+.
Okay.
Which is quite low for
low,
Marvel.
isn't it? Because they
for
love
Marvel
everything.
movies, it's all A+ all the time. The only thing lower, it's on par with something, but the only thing lower is Eternals, which is a B.
Okay, fair enough. Well, this has got an 87% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. But
Pretty
you know who votes on Rotten Tomatoes in the audience score?
Actual tomatoes?
Psychopaths, Mason.
Oh, no.
No, if you do that, we appreciate your discourse. Like this is normal, doing this.
Right.
Me judging others for rating a movie. Ridiculous. Speaking of, though, I got some tweets here from people who have written in. This is from Molotov Shrimp Cocktail, who says, #Weekly Planet Pod. Just finished Professor Weird and the Cameos of Calamity. Got to say that there was the most Sam Raimi film I've ever seen, and I'm not bothered. Interested to see where they go with this. Best movie ever. Kudos to Elfman and Raimi making literal magic. Oh, yeah, we forgot to mention, but Danny Elfman, of course, does the score in this. That's cool. Eli says, I've seen a lot of people complaining about the cameos in Doctor Strange 2, Even Stranger, but I was very relieved that it wasn't wall-to-wall with cameos and fan casting. It would have felt like a clip show. And Strangers in a Strange Land says, saw Doctor Strange, spoilers, was kind of peeved that they introduced so many great characters and then immediately killed them all. Anyways, best movie ever.
I love that.
The Average Pixel says, spoilers, saw Doctor Strange 2, mixed bag. Some nice reveals, such as who was in the Illuminati, Zombie Strange was fun. However, poor pacing and very cliche moments. Believe in yourself and your powers work. Yeah, that's a fair point, I guess.
Some of the dialogue was a little clunky. I'll certainly give it that.
And also guitar screeching when Third Eye opens. Just a movie. I liked the guitar screeching. I thought that was good. And Broderick Henry said, haven't seen Madness yet. I heard it was good. Heard it was good. Yeah.
Well,
there you go. Get out there if you haven't seen it.
Get out there.
Interested. But yeah. If you do have any thoughts, leave them wherever you want. And we'll move on to the next segment of the show, won't we,
Right up on a toilet wall.
Yeah. What is the next segment of the show? I can never remember. And it's not me padding for time while I find the thing.
You know what we've never had? We've never had anybody write, like, on a bathroom wall, for a good time, download the Weekly Planet podcast. Wherever you find podcasts.
Yeah. That'd be great. Nice. Don't get caught, though. All right, ready? Do you know what it's time for?
Oh, it's time for what we're reading.
Yep.
And then what we're going to read.
It is. I'm doing the thing. What are we reading today? Just to quickly talk a little bit more about Doctor Strange, and this is not really a spoiler.
Okay.
I think in the way that they built to...
Sounds emotional, though. You get emotional.
It's very on my throat. I think in the way that, like... I think they were kind of figuring out a bit as they went, at least initially in the first phases of the Marvel movies. I think they have a bigger idea of what they're going to do, and we don't know what it is yet. Yeah, and I think there are little kind of deviations they can make along the way, but I think they already know what the end point is of this.
Yeah, right.
You know? And I think it's just not entirely clear what that looks like at this point.
It's just them rolling around in piles of cash.
Yeah.
Who's this?
It's dog time, everyone.
Hello.
All right, dog time's over, everyone. Back it in.